Chosen one. This moment was not accidental. Something older than your timeline arranged for this word to reach you today, because what God is about to say to you, He has been waiting for exactly the right hour to say. And what He is saying is this: shut your mouth completely. Not because you have nothing of value inside you, because everything of value inside you has been slowly losing its power each time you opened your mouth before He gave permission. You have been defending yourself to rooms that were never assigned to receive your defense. You have been explaining a calling that only heaven fully understands. You have been carrying something sacred in open hands, wondering why it keeps being touched by the wrong things. God sees the exhaustion of that. He is not angry. He is not disappointed. He is watching you spend what was meant to grow, and today He speaks, not loudly, but with the full weight of someone who does not need to repeat himself. Shut your mouth completely, not as a punishment for the words already spent, as protection for what has not yet arrived. What is coming requires a frequency your striving cannot produce. The silence He is calling you into has a sound, and it is the sound of something about to begin. Before anything else is spoken here, I need you to do one thing. Stop, not slow down. Stop completely. If something is pulling at your attention right now, let it wait. What is coming in this message carries a weight that cannot be received halfway. It cannot settle in the background while your mind is somewhere else. This word was placed in front of you deliberately, and it deserves the space that a deliberate thing requires. So wherever you are, whatever position you are in right now, take one real breath, slowly, all the way down. Let something in your chest settle before we go any further. Because what I am about to say to you is not information. Information you can receive while distracted. What God is speaking through this message is meant to reach something deeper than your mind, the place in you that already knows what you are about to hear, the place that has been waiting for permission to rest. And I want to start there, with the exhaustion, because I know it is there. You have been trying so hard to be understood, not because you need validation, because you carry something real, and carrying something real inside a world that cannot yet recognize it is one of the loneliest experiences a human being can walk through. There is a specific kind of tired that comes from explaining your calling to someone who looks back at you with empty eyes. A tired that comes from defending what God placed in you to people who had no framework for receiving it. A tired that builds over years of giving the most carefully worded response to an accusation and watching it land nowhere. A tired that settles in deep when you walk out of a prayer that cost you everything and immediately speak what you were supposed to protect. And underneath all of that, there is this quieter truth. You keep speaking because silence feels dangerous. For someone who has been misunderstood, as long as you have, silence can feel like surrender. It can feel like admitting they were right about you all along. It can feel like disappearing from a story that still needs you in it, stepping back from a calling that has not yet arrived where it was promised. But what if that feeling is pointing in exactly the wrong direction? What if the silence God is calling you into is not the silence of someone who gave up, but the silence of someone who finally decided to let the Father write the outcome instead of trying to write it yourself with words? Before I show you what that looks like, I want you to know what this message holds from beginning to end, because it is worth staying for every part of it. By the time we reach the end of this message, you are going to understand what is actually happening inside your nervous system when silence feels impossible. And I want to be clear about this. That is not a spiritual weakness. It has a real explanation, and it has a path of restoration. You are going to receive something I am calling the 3 silences, a specific framework that will show you exactly which kind of silence you are being called into, what it requires, and what it produces. And I am going to share with you a path, a specific sequence built for those who are standing in the season you are in right now. Every part of this builds towards something. Stay with all of it. There are 5 signs that a chosen one is being called into a season of complete silence. Not every person hearing this is in this exact season right now. But if even 2 or 3 of these land with the weight of recognition inside you, pay close attention. The first sign is this: you have been explaining your calling to people who were not assigned to understand it, and every time you do, something quietly shifts afterward. The calling feels slightly less certain than it did before you spoke it, slightly less alive, as though the act of speaking it before it was ready let something essential out of a container that was not yet finished being sealed. The vision does not feel weaker because those people were wrong about it. It feels weaker because it met exposure before it met deep enough roots to survive that exposure. The second sign: when someone attacks you, misrepresents you, or simply misunderstands who you are, what rises in you is not a choice to respond. It is a compulsion. Something in you literally cannot leave it unanswered. You rehearse the response while you are trying to sleep. You draft it in your mind all day long. You may send it even when something quieter inside you says, wait. And the compulsion itself is what God is pointing at here, not whether you were right. Not the content of what you said. The fact that you could not hold the silence, even when the silence was the very thing being asked of you. The third sign is that you have spoken something into the world before it was ready. A vision you felt growing, a plan that felt holy, a breakthrough you believed was coming, and you brought it into the light too early. You placed it in front of people you trusted, and something in that placement changed it. What had been strong and certain in private became smaller the moment it was spoken aloud, not because the people were unworthy of it, because there is a kind of thing that can only grow in the dark, and you lifted it into the light before its roots were deep enough to survive what light brings with it. The fourth sign is what happens inside your prayer time. You talk, you request, you declare, you explain yourself to God as though He needs to be fully briefed before He can act on your behalf. And the silence inside prayer, the actual silence, the pause, the 7 minutes of no words and no agenda and nothing being asked for, that silence feels wasteful to you, uncomfortable, like something important is being missed, like a more faithful version of you would have more to say. But that specific discomfort around silence in prayer, that is the sign. God is not waiting for your next sentence. He has been waiting for your stillness. And the fifth sign, and this one carries the most intimate weight of all, God has shown you things. He has whispered things to you in the quiet, things about your calling, things about who you are, things He placed in your heart as a private trust between the two of you, and you have shared them with more people than were ever meant to know. Not out of pride, out of something far more human than that. The ache of being the only one who can see what you see. The longing for even one person to confirm that what you heard in the quiet was real and not imagined. The exhaustion of carrying something alone that was always meant to be carried quietly between you and the Father who placed it there. If you recognized yourself anywhere in those 5 things today, stay right where you are. This is not a word of condemnation over your life. This is a map drawn by a Father who has not missed a single one of those moments and who is not holding any of them against you. He is using them, instead, to show you exactly where you are standing and exactly what this season requires. And I hear the Father saying over every chosen one who just recognized themselves in this, I saw every one of those moments. I was not absent. I was waiting. Beneath every one of those patterns lives a single source, something that sits underneath the compulsion to speak, underneath the fear of silence, underneath all 5 of those signs. And to understand what it is, I want to take you somewhere. A road, dust rising in the late afternoon light. A king walking away from his own city in disgrace. His name was David, the same David who killed Goliath with a stone and a sling as a boy that no army believed in. The same David who was anointed while he was still covered in the smell of the field, while his brothers stood in the house waiting to be chosen. The same David the scripture describes as a man after God's own heart. And on this particular day, everything had been taken from him. His own son Absalom had staged a coup. The palace was behind him. The throne was behind him. Jerusalem was growing smaller with every step he took, and David was walking into an exile he had not earned, surrounded by what remained of the men who had not abandoned him yet. Then a man appeared on the hillside above the road. His name was Shimei. He was from the house of Saul, and the moment he saw David passing below, he began to shout, not quietly, loudly, in front of everyone. He threw stones down onto the road. He cursed. He called David a murderer. He said, out loud, in public, that what David had lost was exactly what David deserved. And then Abishai stepped forward, battle-hardened, fiercely devoted, sword already half out of the scabbard. And he said, and you can hear the controlled fury in it, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go and take his head. One word from David was all it would have taken. One word, and Shimei would have been silenced. David had the authority. He had the army standing right there. He had every legal and moral right to stop it. What he said instead was this: let him curse. Perhaps God will see my distress and repay me with good for the cursing I am receiving today. Sit with that for a moment. David did not silence Shimei because he thought Shimei was right about him. He silenced himself because he understood something that Abishai in that moment did not yet understand. The Father who had anointed David was also fully capable of defending David. And the moment David's voice entered that space to do what only God was appointed to do, he would be removing God from the equation entirely. David's silence on that road was not passivity, it was not weakness. It was the most strategically profound act in the entire account. He held his mouth closed at the precise moment, and everything in him had the right to open it. And God remembered that silence. God kept a record of it. The vindication that followed was authored at a level that no human rebuttal, no matter how perfectly worded, could have produced. There is a word in the Hebrew text of the Psalms, the very Psalms that David wrote, most of them in those exact seasons of silence and wilderness and waiting. The word appears 71 times across the book of Psalms, and most translations, when they encounter it, either skip it entirely or print a small note at the bottom of the page that most readers never read. The word is Selah. Most people glide right past it, and that is exactly what the word is asking you not to do. The root of Selah carries the weight of 3 movements at once: to pause, to weigh, and to lift. Not a rest between verses, not a musical direction preserved accidentally in the text, a commanded stop, a full and deliberate cessation. The author is saying, what I just wrote is too important to continue past without stopping. Sit here. Let it reach the place in you that words pass by on their way down. Let it drop from your head into your bones before anything else enters. When David wrote Selah in the middle of a psalm, he was not saying keep going. He was saying stop generating forward momentum right here. Let this land completely before you receive the next thing. And the tragedy is not only that most of us skip the word when we read it. The tragedy is that most of us have lost the ability to do what it asks. Sitting inside a real Selah, a full and unhurried and deliberate stop, feels almost impossible now. Not because the desire is absent, because something in the nervous system has been running at a frequency too elevated for too long to know how to come down. That something has a name. Researchers who study the brain use the term beta waves to describe the frequency the brain defaults to under sustained pressure. When the environment signals ongoing demand, when the mind is carrying financial weight, relational weight, the weight of a calling that has not yet arrived where it was promised, the brain shifts into what can be called the stress signal state. Elevated, reactive, scanning constantly for the next thing that requires managing. And in that state, silence is not peaceful. In that state, silence feels like a void. The nervous system immediately moves to fill because, to a survival mode brain, quiet does not feel like rest. It feels like something important is being missed. It feels like falling behind. It feels like the moment you stop producing words is the moment control slips away. This is why the Selah that David practiced, the kind that rises not from quiet circumstances but from deep trust, does not arrive through willpower alone. You cannot simply decide to be still and have stillness answer, because the stress signal is not a decision, it is a frequency, and it runs underneath the level where decisions are made, and frequencies can be addressed. What you have just heard, the Selah you cannot hold, the stress signal, your body runs without your permission. This has been studied, not only in ancient Hebrew text, but in the laboratory of neuroscience. And there is a path that has been built specifically for those who feel exactly what you are feeling right now. I will come back to this in full and deliberate detail later in this message. But truth honors transparency, and what I am going to share with you deserves to arrive without surprise. There are two tools created by independent neuroscientists working from entirely separate research traditions that address the exact two layers we have been diagnosing together. The first is called the Genius Song. It works with the gamma frequency, the frequency that has been quietly dimmed in most adults over a lifetime. The frequency that is the neural home of what I am about to describe as the child mind, the mind that receives without striving. The second is called the wealth signal. It addresses the stress signal directly, the beta hyperactivity that makes the Selah, the Damam, the deep and sustained stillness, feel neurologically out of reach. I will explain the science behind both in full. I will explain why the sequence between them matters and why that sequence is not accidental. All of that is coming, and it will connect to everything we are building together in this message. For now, both of those paths are waiting for you in the description below and in the pinned comment. They will be there when you are ready. But there is a second layer beneath the stress signal, one that goes deeper and older. And to understand it, I need to take you back further than adulthood. Before the world taught you that silence was empty, you already knew how to live inside it. Before schedules and performance, and the adult necessity of justifying every choice and explaining every decision and managing every perception, there was a version of you that could sit in complete stillness and simply receive. Curious without needing to announce it, open without needing to qualify it, present without needing to manage how that presence was being interpreted by the people around you. Researchers who study early childhood brain development have identified a specific frequency that is most naturally active in young children. They call it the gamma wave state. They associate it with heightened creativity, intuitive knowing, and a deep capacity for receptivity, for receiving rather than striving. And they have identified what happens to that frequency as children grow into adults inside modern conditions. They call it the decline effect, the quiet, consistent suppression of the gamma frequency that was once natural, not by some dramatic event, but by years of survival conditioning, performance-based reward, and the chronic low-level stress of a world that never fully quiets. By the time most people reach adulthood, the frequency that was natural to them as children has not disappeared. It has been dimmed, covered over by the louder frequency of the stress signal, still there, but no longer the dominant voice. And this matters because what David practiced on that road, the deliberate and unhurried silence before Shimei's curses, was not something he manufactured from nothing. It was a return to a frequency the child in him had always carried. The receiving mind, the mind that trusts without needing to control. There is one more Hebrew word I want to give you before we go further. It appears in Psalm 4 and in the Book of Lamentations, and it holds something that Selah only begins to point toward. The word is Damam. Damam does not simply mean quiet. The English word quiet describes an absence of external sound. Damam describes something far more intentional and far more demanding. Its root meaning is to be cut off from self-generated noise, not the absence of sound around you. The active and deliberate cessation of the noise you yourself produce. The defensive inner monologue, the rehearsal of arguments, the constant management of how you are being perceived, the loop of explanation and justification that runs in the mind, even when the lips are completely still. Lamentations says it this way: "It is good to wait in silence for the salvation of the Lord." The Hebrew word translated as silence, there is damam, not gentle waiting, not patient hoping, complete internal cessation, the active stopping of self-generation, the full release of the part of you that has been working so hard to manage what only God was ever appointed to manage. That is what God is after when he says, "Shut your mouth completely." He is not only asking your lips to be still, he is asking for the damam, the deep and total stilling of everything inside you that has been generating noise in an attempt to control what only he can author. And that depth of stillness, the kind David pressed into on that dusty road, the kind that costs something and produces something that no amount of brilliant speech ever could, has a path of restoration, a path we are now about to walk together. And in that awareness, a path begins to clear, not a new idea arriving from somewhere outside you, more like something that was always there, suddenly visible in a different kind of light. There is an image I want to offer you before we go further. An eagle, not straining against the sky, not working to maintain its height, but with wings spread wide and still, riding an invisible current of warm air that carries it far above anything effort alone could have reached. The eagle is not passive. Its posture is chosen. But the altitude is not earned by the eagle's own movement. It is received by the eagle's willingness to stop generating its own and trust the current beneath it. Silence is not inaction. Silence is the wingspan, and what it catches, when held long enough, is what you have been reaching for, with striving for a very long time. What I want to give you now is a way to navigate the silence you are being called into. 3 specific types, each with a different trigger, a different practice, and a different result. Because most chosen ones who have been told to be quiet have never been told which kind of quiet they are being called into. And without knowing that, silence can feel like any number of things. It is not. The first silence I am calling protective silence. This is the silence David practiced on the road while Shimei cursed him from the hillside. It belongs specifically to the seasons when something false or unfair has been said about you, about your calling, about who you are, and everything inside you is rising to correct the record. The indicator for protective silence is not the weight of what was said against you. It is the feeling of compulsion. The moment you feel that you cannot leave it unanswered, that something in you will not settle until you have set the story straight. That specific internal pressure, that is the trigger for this silence. Not a gentle suggestion to wait. A compulsion that needs to be honored by overriding it completely. Because the moment you step in to defend what only God was appointed to author, you are not simply choosing different words. You are removing him from the position he was standing in. You are saying, at a level deeper than you may realize, that you trust your management of the story of your life more than you trust his authorship of it. David let Shimei curse, not because he was too exhausted to answer, because he understood something that Abishai in that moment did not. The Father who anointed David could also vindicate David, and what followed from that road did not require David's argument. It required David's trust. The practice for protective silence is this. The next time you feel that compulsion rising, in your mind, picture the argument you were preparing. See it clearly. Hold it there for a moment. And then, deliberately, set it down. 24 hours. No response, no correction, no explanation. Just watch what enters the space when you leave it empty. The second silence is creative silence. This one belongs to the seasons of building. When something is forming in you, a vision, a plan, an assignment that has been quietly taking shape in the private space of your inner life, and the pull is to bring it into the light, to speak it, to share the excitement of what is forming inside you with someone who might confirm it. Mary carried what God placed inside her for 9 full months before a single announcement was made. What was growing in her needed the protection of the hidden before it was strong enough to survive being exposed. What the world does not yet know about, the world cannot reach. There is a kind of calling that grows stronger in secret, and every time it is spoken too early, into a room that does not have the depth to receive it, something of its power goes with the telling. Not because the people were wrong, because the roots were not yet deep enough to hold their ground when the wind of other people's reactions arrived. The practice for creative silence is costly in a way that is easy to underestimate. Whatever vision or calling you have been holding and feeling the pressure to share, give it 40 more days in the dark. Not forever, just 40 days. Let it develop without the pressure of anyone else's response. At the end of those 40 days, you will feel the difference between a calling that is ready to be spoken and one that still needed more time beneath the surface. The third silence is the one most people resist the hardest, because it asks for something they were never taught to value. This is receptive silence, and it belongs inside prayer itself. Most of us were taught, somewhere along the way, that prayer is what we bring to God, the requests, the declarations, the long and sincere lists of what we need and believe and are asking him to act on. And all of that has its place. But there is a kind of prayer that has nearly disappeared from modern practice. A prayer that does not begin with words at all. 7 minutes. No asking, no declaring, no planning. Just stillness in the prayer space, completely open, with no instruction about what should arrive. In your mind, right now, let all word forming stop for just a moment. Release the next sentence you are going to compose. Do not reach for anything. Just be present to the quiet and allow whatever is already there to come forward without you directing it. If what you just received in the 3 silences gave you something real today, something that landed in the space between those words, let that be felt in this space. What you affirm here carries its own kind of frequency. That is Damam. That is the internal silence the Father has been waiting inside. Every single time you came to prayer with more words than space to receive anything back. And I hear the Father saying this over every chosen one who is still with me right now. The battles you have been fighting with your words, I have been preparing to fight in your silence. I was not absent from the quiet. I was there, waiting for the moment you would finally stop generating the noise long enough for my hand to begin to move. You do not need more arguments. You do not need better words. You need your stillness, and you need to trust what I am doing inside of it. I want to take a moment here, not to add more content, just to say something honest. Learning to hold this kind of silence, the real kind, not the kind you talk about holding, but the kind that sits in you and costs you something when you practice it, has been one of the hardest things I have ever taken seriously. Not because the concept is difficult, because it requires a trust that no amount of understanding can produce by itself. The trust that when you stop filling the space, God actually fills it. That silence is not a void, but a presence. That what is being done in the quiet is more real than anything you could construct in the noise. If you are in that struggle right now, I want you to know that struggle is not evidence that you are not ready for this season. It may be the clearest evidence that you are. There is one more layer connecting everything we have walked through together, and it is the most important layer of all. Because understanding why silence is hard is one thing, but there are chosen ones who have understood this for years and still cannot hold it. Not from lack of faith, because the stress signal does not respond to understanding alone, because the child mind, once dimmed, cannot be restored by willingness alone. What is needed is a restoration that works at the level of the problem itself, a frequency that answers a frequency, two layers of condition, each needing its own solution, addressed in the right sequence for the results to hold. Restore the child mind first, then open the channel through which the child receives. In that order, not one without the other. What arrives next addresses both. 34 years. That is the span of Dr. Robert Lake's dedicated research into the gamma frequency, the specific brainwave associated with the child mind's natural capacity for openness and reception. Working alongside neuroscientists at MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and several other leading research universities, Dr. Lake identified not only how the decline effect suppresses gamma over time, but how to reverse that suppression at the neurological level. The tool he developed from that research is called the Genius Song. It is a 7-minute audio track, engineered using brain entrainment technology, which means it delivers specific sound frequencies through headphones that the brain naturally synchronizes with. No meditation required, no prior practice, no mantras. You listen with headphones for 7 minutes, and the gamma frequency that the decline effect has been quietly covering begins to reactivate, not artificially, but by restoring what was always yours. The child mind, the receiving mind, the mind that can hold a Selah, the mind that knows how to be still and receive rather than strive, begins to return. Over 18,366 people have used the Genius Song. Fewer than 4 in every 100 ask for a return. The other 96 continue using it day after day. People do not return to something every morning unless they can feel what it is doing. And when you access the Genius Song, Dr. Lake includes 4 additional resources at no extra cost. The first is a 6-minute audio called Genius Child, calibrated specifically for the brain patterns of children before the decline effect takes hold, designed to protect the child mind of the young ones you love before the world has a chance to dim it. The second is the original book that inspired the film, The Secret, the actual source material rather than an interpretation of it, worth $20 on its own, and far more practically grounded than most people realize. The third is a 22-minute guided visualization moving through 4 areas of life: financial, relational, physical, and spiritual, worth $29, and built to deepen everything the audio initiates when the two are used together. The fourth is a practical infographic documenting 5 daily habits that keep Gamma active after it has been reactivated, worth $12, and the daily bridge between the audio and the rest of your life. The combined value of those 4 editions is $80. They arrive alongside the Genius Song at no additional cost. When you secure the Genius Song today, Dr. Lake may present 1 additional audio designed to protect the child mind once it has been restored, so that the world cannot dim it again as easily as before. Your spirit will know if that is something you need. Do not overthink it. Now, here is what I need you to understand before we continue. The Genius Song restores the child mind. The gamma frequency reactivates. The natural capacity for stillness and reception begins to return. And for many people, that restoration is felt from the very first session. But the child mind, once awakened, finds itself standing in front of a door that is still closed, because there is a second frequency that the Genius Song was not designed to address. While the decline effect has been suppressing gamma, something else entirely has been running beneath it, occupying the alpha frequency, the channel through which the subconscious opens to receive rather than broadcast. And that channel has its own specific blocker. Researchers call it beta hyperactivity, the overactivation of the survival response that sustained modern stress produces in almost every adult. The constant scanning, the striving, the sense that if you stop producing, something important will be missed. When this is running, and in most people it is running even during rest, it occupies the space where alpha belongs. The child mind is awake, but the door through which it would receive what was promised to it remains held shut by the pressure of everything the adult world has placed in the way. A neuroscientist named Dr. Stephen Newton spent years researching this specific problem, working from Stanford and other leading research institutions before breaking from the academic establishment to release what he found to the public. His research identified 2 mechanisms for deactivating beta hyperactivity and restoring the alpha channel: a 5-minute audio and a 9-word script drawn from an ancient practice over 3,000 years old that together bypass what he called neural rigidity, the brain's learned resistance to receiving. His tool is called the wealth signal, and this is where the sequence the Father spoke becomes neurologically clear. Become like little children, then receive the kingdom. Wave 1 restores the child mind. Wave 2 opens what the child was always promised, in that order, not one without the other. The wealth signal is a 5-minute digital audio track listened to through headphones, combined with a 9-word script that you hold internally as the audio plays. It works by guiding the brain from beta, the survival frequency, into alpha, the receptive state, using principles that contemplative traditions have preserved for thousands of years and that modern neuroscience has now mapped with precision. When the alpha channel opens, what the stress signal has been broadcasting beneath conscious awareness, a frequency of constant scarcity and unending effort, begins to quiet. And in that quiet, something becomes available that striving could never have reached. Dr. Newton's research lineage through Stanford, Boston University, Harvard, and other institutions he worked with produced results that over 19,583 people have since verified in their own experience. Fewer than 5 in every 100 return it. The rest continue. Alongside the wealth signal, Dr. Newton includes 4 resources. The first is a document called The Millionaire Quick Cash Flow Blueprint, worth $97, outlining the passive income strategies that self-made millionaires use to build consistent monthly income and particularly powerful when the alpha channel is operating and the mind is receiving rather than straining. The second is an audio and video resource worth $47, revealing the 5-second shift that makes affirmations actually work, addressing the specific reason most people's affirmation practice has not produced the results they expected. The third is a document worth $97 containing 11 practical methods for attracting financial resources across a wide range of situations, from everyday shortfalls to larger needs. And the fourth is a collected report of 20 documented transformations from people who have activated the wealth signal, worth another $97, and the most honest evidence that what is being described here is not a promise, but a repeating principle. The combined value of those 4 resources is $338. They arrive with the wealth signal at no additional cost. When you secure the wealth signal today, Dr. Newton may offer one additional audio amplification designed to help the manifestation channel open at the pace your season is calling for. If your spirit confirms it, take it. If not, what is already here is complete. 3 paths are now available to you, and I want to honor each one honestly because they do not all point to the same chosen one. The first path is what I am calling restoration only. If what has felt most absent in your life is wonder, the natural child mind capacity to be still and receive without effort, if the Selah feels neurologically foreign rather than only spiritually challenging, this path begins with the genius song alone. It is an honored entry point, the first wave of what is possible. The second path is reception only. If your spirit has remained somewhat alive, if the capacity for wonder is still present, but what you cannot seem to do is actually receive what you have been believing for, the wealth signal alone addresses the stress signal blockage directly. This path belongs to a smaller number of people, but it is real and it is right for those it was made for. The third path is complete restoration, both waves in sequence. The genius song first, to restore the child mind, the wealth signal second, to open the channel through which the child receives. This is the full restoration, and for the majority of chosen ones who have sat with this message honestly, this is the path that matches what they actually need. Become like little children, then receive the kingdom. Both restorations, in that sequence, with nothing left out. All 3 paths are waiting for you in the description below and in the pinned comment. They will be there when you are ready. If you are uncertain which one is right for you, begin with the third. That is the path I would point you toward, without hesitation. This season of silence you are entering is a specific window. It is preparation for an activation that is already being assembled on the other side of it. What you do with the frequency of this season, the tools you carry into it, the daily restoration you commit to, determines how ready you are when the door opens. The window is here. It will not always look the way it looks today. One more thing I need to say directly. Not every tool that claims to work with brain frequency and spiritual activation is built on the kind of research I have described. 34 years of Dr. Lake's work. Dr. Newton's documented research lineage. These are specific foundations. Protect what you have heard here from imitations that carry the same language without the same depth behind it. And to anyone who wants to know the risk, both the genius song and the wealth signal are covered by a 90-day, 100% money-back guarantee. No conditions, no time limit within that window. If at any point in 90 days the experience is not what was described to you, every cent is returned. I want to tell you about a chosen one whose name I will not share, who entered what he later described as his season of complete silence. Not because circumstances were favorable, Because everything in his professional life had been publicly misrepresented, his calling, his work, his character, all of it questioned loudly by people with reach and an audience, he made one decision. For 90 days, he would not defend himself in any space. No response, no correction, not one word to any audience. Days passed. The accusations continued without him. Day 43 arrived, and he described feeling the compulsion to speak with more force than he had felt in years. He held the silence. Day 67, the situation he called his Shimei moment. Someone repeated the original misrepresentation in a very public space, with thousands watching. He did not move. On day 73, without any involvement from him, 3 people who had witnessed the original situation came forward with what they knew. The record corrected itself in a space he had never entered. And by day 90, the very platform that had questioned him sent an invitation. He said only this afterward: "I proved myself in silence before I promoted myself in public." The vindication was so complete that I knew no human argument could have written it. It had to have been authored by someone other than me. And now, everything we have walked through settles into the place where it was always meant to land. Not in the mind alone, in the life. There is a daily rhythm I want to give you, because what has been received in this message needs a structure to take root in. In the morning, before the day begins to speak its demands over you, before the stress signal has a chance to re-establish its hold, take 5 minutes. Headphones, the wealth signal. Let Dr. Newton's audio guide your brain from beta into alpha while you hold the 9-word script internally. You are not preparing for battle when you listen. You are opening the channel through which what God has already prepared knows how to arrive. You are entering the day the way a child enters a morning, open and expectant, not yet armored against what the hours might bring. In the evening, after at least 4 hours have separated the 2 sessions, 7 minutes, the genius song, let the gamma frequency restore what the day's pressures covered, because the world will attempt to redim the child mind every single day. The genius song is the daily reversal, 12 minutes total, morning and evening, 2 waves, every day. And woven into that daily rhythm, the 3 silences practiced through their own natural triggers. Every time you feel the compulsion to defend yourself, to correct a record, to answer something that has been said against you, that specific feeling of internal pressure is your signal. Hold for 24 hours before any response. Not to be passive. To give the Father the space he needs to move before you do. Every time you feel the pull to announce something that is still forming in you, a vision that is not yet rooted deeply enough to survive other people's responses, that pull is your signal for creative silence. 40 more days. Let it grow in the dark. Test whether the calling can stand on its own before it meets the air. And every morning, at the start of your prayer time, give the first 7 minutes to no words, no requests, no composing. Simply open, let whatever is already present in that space come forward without you managing it. And I want to say something to you about this season you are entering. Something that needs to be said clearly and without apology. You are allowed to become quieter without explaining yourself to anyone. You are allowed to become less available to rooms that drain what God is building in you, without offering those rooms a reason for your absence. You are allowed to outgrow the version of you that needed every person in your life to understand and validate the direction you are moving in. You are allowed to let the Father author your vindication, even when that means watching people hold the wrong story about you for longer than feels fair. You are allowed to protect what is sacred in you, and you do not owe anyone an explanation for becoming who you were always intended to be. There will be a moment, and for most people this moment arrives before the 48-hour mark, when the silence begins to feel wrong, when it begins to feel like avoidance, like cowardice, like you are simply stepping back from something you should be facing. And I want to give you one question that will tell you the difference every single time. Is this silence costing me something? Avoidance, silence, is the easy path. It moves away from conflict because conflict is uncomfortable. There is no real cost in it. You leave the situation rather than face it, and the relief you feel afterward is the relief of someone who escaped. Protective silence costs something. It holds ground while not speaking. It feels like the harder choice, not the easier one. There is a pressure inside it that avoidance silence does not carry. If the silence you are holding is requiring you to override a strong impulse to speak, if it is taking something from you to maintain it, that pressure is not a sign that you are making the wrong choice. That pressure is the cost of the right one. And when nothing appears to change during the silence, when day 30 arrives, and then day 50, and the situation you were trusting God to address has not visibly moved, hold this. David's resolution did not come in hours. Mary's announcement was not made in weeks. The Selah is not a timer with a predictable schedule. It is a frequency that creates conditions. And what is already moving in the invisible realm while you hold the silence has no obligation to report its progress before the appointed hour arrives. Before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life. Not a closing thought, not a final encouragement to carry with you. A decree from a Father who does not waste words, spoken over a chosen one who has been prepared through everything we have walked through today to receive it. Stay with me for what comes next. There is a specific kind of person who sits with a message like this one all the way to the end, not someone looking for entertainment, not someone who arrived here by accident and stayed out of curiosity, someone who needed permission. Permission to stop explaining, permission to be still, permission to trust that the God who called them has not forgotten what he called them to, and that the silence surrounding their life right now is not evidence of his absence, but the very condition under which he does his deepest work. The fact that you are here, in this space, at this moment, in this message, says something about the quality of your faith that no words of mine could adequately honor. I want to acknowledge that. And the Father sees it. In your mind, right now, I want you to picture every argument you have been carrying, every defense you prepared and rehearsed, every carefully worded response you have been holding ready for the right moment. See them there, resting in your open hands. Now close your hands slowly, not to grip what is in them more tightly, to hold it one last time before it is released. Feel the weight of what has lived in your hands, all of it, and then, gently, completely, let your hands open. That is the Damam, that is the stillness he was after all along. You are being commissioned today, in whatever specific season you are standing in, to carry the three silences. The protective silence of someone who trusts God to write the vindication they could never produce with their own words. The creative silence of someone who protects what is forming until it is strong enough to survive being seen. The receptive silence of someone who has learned that prayer is not only what you bring, but what you are made open to receive. That commission is real, and it is yours. And I hear the Father saying over you, you are the one I have been waiting to work through, not despite your silence, because of it. What I am preparing to do does not require your words. It requires your stillness and your trust. I am not absent from the quiet. I live there. And now, so do you. You are a spiritual warrior who has learned that the most powerful thing you can do is hold your ground without making a sound. You are a truth carrier who does not need to announce what is true. because the truth is already announcing itself through the weight of your life. You are a voice, and the voice knows exactly when to speak and when to be still. You are the chosen one, and your silence has already begun its work. Right now, all across the world, chosen ones are entering this same season. Different circumstances, different names on the accusations, different visions being protected in the dark, but the same silence, the same cost, the same faithfulness. You are not alone in the quiet. You are part of something larger than your own story. A body of people choosing to trust when speaking would have been the easier thing, choosing to be still when movement would have felt more productive. That is the army that does not make a sound, and you are in it. It is sealed, and so it is. If this message found you at the right moment today, if the Selah landed somewhere real in you, type the word Selah in the comments. Let your silence be acknowledged in one word, and let it be a marker for you and for anyone else who finds this message, that they are not alone in the quiet. If the 3 silences gave you something real today, something practical that you can carry into this week, let that be known. What you affirm in this space carries its own kind of weight. If this space has become part of your formation, stay. More is coming for those who are in this season, and there is someone in your life right now who has been over-explaining themselves, defending their calling to rooms that were never assigned to receive it, spending themselves on arguments that God never asked them to make. They are tired. They need permission to stop. Share this with the specific person who came to mind just now, not generally, specifically. That person needs what you just received today.